Hashtag Stop Galamsey now is 60 days to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, 52 protesters granted bail, leaving convener of Fix the Country movement, Oliver Bakavoma, was still in custody after a third failure in a row to secure his freedom.
Successful day so far, and all we can say is thanks to God Almighty for the victory we have chalked today. And I'm sure at the end of the day, the court will pronounce all the accused persons as innocent persons.
But all 52 still remain in custody in spite of bail, as the accuser system of putting impediments in their way to go through the bail process. We have more from the court, where the failure of the Attorney General's Department to file processes in time has led to a delay in the start of the trial of the protesters. Also tonight,
we have reported severally that behind Enyam police station, people are doing stuff there which we have not permitted. So how come that the police is not taking action towards the Enyam one, for example, that Galamsey is taking place behind the police station?
Tonight, the Ghana Police Service is fighting off claims about refusing to act on illegal mining close to its vicinity in Enyinem, as alleged by the CEO of the Minerals Commission. We have details as the police says several operations on the Brim River, which is 800 meters away from the police station, led to arrests and prosecutions of 4 persons. And tonight, also, Organized Labor's October 10 nationwide shutdown suffers another opposition, this time by the Ghana Medical Association, which has decided to sit on the fence in the fight against illegal mining, citing a lack of consultation on the matter.
5 people indicated we should join the strike. 1 abstained. 15 said no, we shouldn't join. I would like to take this opportunity to inform all of you. I know the press is here. The Ghana Medical Association is not joining the strike.
We have more, individuals or more individual groups, including UTAG, UG, GPRTU, and CSOs and SDGs, vote to join the industrial action with just about barely 48 hours to go.
We are requesting for is the immediate revocation of LI 2426.
We are not doing this because of politics. We are doing this because of our own lives. And we will continue to be monitoring the water again.
We are bound to be part of it, or we are fully part of it.
In business, some energy analysts worried about outlook of crude prices and impact on consumers in Ghana as Middle East tension escalate, pushing oil prices above $80 a barrel.
And in sports, injury hit Ghana. Black Stars hold second training session in Accra ahead of Sudan clash on Thursday.
And the winner with a project titled Harnessing Plastic as Gold, Bando Senior High School.
Sounds of the moment when Kwando Senior High School became winners of the 5th edition of the Energy Commission SHS Renewable Energy Challenge.
Naturally. You see, the other niggas were making noise. We didn't make noise. What did you do? We're there. Natural. Calm and collected. Mindful and demure. We maintained our steez. And what did you do? We delivered. Yes. We what? Delivered.
Well, we have more scoop on the school that's making waves in renewable energy. That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Please do also join us with your thoughts, your comments via WhatsApp is 055-1111-997. Well, let's settle for the details now. And this is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. And the hashtag Stop Galamsey Now is still on. But we start off from the court. Another leg of the Stop Galamsey fight, and convener of the Fix the Country movement and leader of a recent protest to demand governmental action against illegal mining, has been denied bail 3 times in a row. Oliver Vormawor has been denied bail twice by the Circuit Court and once by the High Court, and will continue to be in detention. Meanwhile, 52 other persons who the police have charged for various offences in relation to the protest have now been admitted bail after spending 2 weeks in custody. Member of our legal affairs desk, Kweku Asante, has been busy all day and shuttling between the High Court and the Circuit Court where these cases have been heard, and joins us in the studios, thankfully. Kweku, quite a day it's been for you. But in the morning, there was a bail application at the High Court. What was the outcome?
So that was not so much of a good news for the protesters, because they were seeking to get the High Court to grant them bail, their protesters, two batches numbering 20, but the officers of the Attorney General opposed that, and they in fact indicate that they had filed an affidavit in opposition, and that they wanted that served on the lawyers for the protesters. They wanted that argued in court, for which reason they were not inclined to move that, to discuss that affidavit in court. Because of this, the court did adjourn proceedings to tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, for those bail applications to be heard. But it appears that will not be necessary because all those bills have been granted. But when we get into the discussion, we can get into all that. But the morning was not so much of a success for the protesters because they didn't get a bill. The court adjourned proceedings to tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m.
And then the circuit court, which has been handling the substantive case, also later in the day, had applications for bail. How did the state respond?
So about 1:32 p.m., all the protesters, numbering about 39, were brought to the court, and their lawyers did file application for bail for them. The cases were heard in batches of 9, sometimes 11, sometimes 12, and they did file application for all of them. For all of them, the state opposed all of them, but 2 of the cases. There was one protester who was arrested called Fanny Otu. Since he or she was arrested, as of now, I don't know the gender. The name has been mentioned in court, Fanny Otu. He or she has been in and out of the hospital because he or she has been sick throughout the period. And so the police and the prosecutors themselves admitted that, in fact, even this afternoon, while they were bringing the person to court, she fell ill again, and they took the person to the police hospital and has been on admission there since. And so when it came to that protester, the state did not oppose the bill. They just wanted the terms to be in such a way that he or she would turn up for court. But when it came to all the others, the state opposed to it, either opposing it openly or saying that this is up to the court to decide what they wanted to do. So the circuit court judge, Justice Obriyeboah, looked at the merits of the cases and all that, took into consideration the fact that almost all of them had been in custody for 2 weeks at least, and their fixed places of abode have all now been discussed in some of the documents that even the prosecution have filed. All that was there. Remember, one of the reasons why the judge refused to grant them bail initially was that they did not have their fixed place of abode in the documents that their lawyers presented to court. And because all these had been taken out of the way, Justice Obriyeboah decided today that all of them will be granted bail. All of them granted bail to the tune of 20,000 Ghana cedis, one surety, with the exception of Fanny Otu, was granted a bail to the tune of 20,000 cedis and 2 sureties.
Okay, but the expectation was that the case management will start today. But we are learning that the AG's department either did not file some processes or filed them late. Tell us more.
Yes, at the last agenda date, the court did direct the prosecution to make sure that by today, they would have filed all the necessary disclosures. That is the kind of evidence they will rely on to prosecute these persons, as well as their witness statements and all other relevant documents. They were all supposed to be filed today. Almost all those documents had either not been filed as of today, or some filed just this morning and served to the lawyers for the protesters in court. And so the judge took dim view of that and did insist that, given the way this matter is, people's liberty at stake, some of them having been in custody for almost 2 weeks, it was important that the prosecution filed those documents. So as of today, most of those documents had either not been filed or were filed later today. And so even that was part of the reason why the judge decided that, listen, the prosecution themselves are not bringing in some of these documents, so we have to grant these persons bail. The judge now issued a stern warning to them that at the next agenda, they need to make sure that the documents are in check, so that the case management conference will start and then a trial will follow.
Okay, so as it stands now, all 52, but one protester was not granted bail. Let's zero in on that one, which is Oliver Vormawor. Let's talk about why the circuit court judge refused him bail again.
So last 2 weeks, the circuit court judge, Obriyeboah, denied him bail. They repeated the bail application at the High Court. It was then that the High Court did raise legal issues, citing Section 96(5)(c) of Act 30 to say that if a person has already committed an offense, alleged offense for which is on bail, and the person commits another offense, allegedly, and comes to court, the judge's discretion can be exercised in such a way that that person can be denied bail, where there is no guarantee that that person will not go on and commit any other offense. That was the reasoning of the High Court judge yesterday, for which reason he denied him bail. Today, the lawyers tried again at the circuit court to try and get him bail, but Justice Obriyeboah said that Mr. Vormawor is entangled in this legal intricacy, and so the lawyers would have to find a way to deal with this legal intricacy, and once that is out of the way, they can proceed to grant him bail, or the case will continue. Mind you, the High Court judge yesterday ordered that the trial for Oliver Barker-Vormawor should start within 72 hours. And if it doesn't start within 72 hours, the court should consider granting him bail. That issue was raised in court. The judge said, well, at least it's not 72 hours now. As of yesterday and today, at the time the case was heard, it was barely 24 hours. If in 72 hours there's a need to do so, the lawyers know what to do. They can bring that in court. So Oliver is the only one of the 53 protesters who has not been granted bail, who will continue to stay in custody up until the court is able to vary these orders and perhaps grant him bail.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about the next court date and what the lawyers for the protesters have been telling you. But you've also been finding out about at least those who were granted bail yesterday. Yeah. Have they finally started enjoying that freedom?
Well, barely 24 hours after about 20 of them were granted bail yesterday. Expectation was that by today they would have been granted bail. In fact, they came to court today in handcuffs. That meant that they had not satisfied the bail conditions. And that was because we have been hearing from grapevine sources, some people saying that there are certain aspects of the police process that is frustrating them and that they expected that they would have completed the process today. In fact, one of the persons who is entangled in this process, Felicity Nelson, today when she came to court and was able to get access to her phone, they put out this post on Facebook, and I read, "My bail was granted around 11 a.m. yesterday. The court order was only sent to the police around 2 p.m. today. The police needs to verify the sureties. This still hasn't been done. The police needs to sign the release form after verifying the sureties. This still hasn't been done. Currently, all the personnel at the Ghana Police Service who need to do the verification and consequently sign the release form at the court premises. The person who signs the bail bond closed at 4 p.m. today. The person who needs to sign the bail bond at the High Court apparently won't be working tomorrow. So, see you next week." Do you see how the state conspires to frustrate its citizens? 16 days in police custody and counting. So, Felicity Nelson says she expects to stay in custody up until next week, even though she has been granted bail.
So let's talk about the next court dates and what lawyers for the protesters have been telling you.
So most of the cases have been adjourned to 22nd October. In fact, some of them will be returning to court on the 14th, but majority of them will be going back on the 22nd October. But the lawyers say that they are really happy about the turn of events. They say that they are going to ensure that the legal intricacies that Oliver is embroiled in is dealt with. In fact, that's Dr. Justice Sai, who represents Oliver, has not been in court today. Some other lawyers held this brief. And so listen to Nelson Amedonu, part of the protest lawyers who have been excited about the turn of events so far.
It's been a successful day so far, and all we can say is thanks to God Almighty for the victory we have chalked today. And I'm sure at the end of the day, the court will pronounce all the accused persons as innocent persons.
Oliver Barker-Vormawor's bail again application denied. What is going to be the next decisions going forward when it comes to him?
That one raises legal concerns, so we have to address the court on that legal concerns, the same legal concerns that were raised at the High Court. So in the coming days, we will address the court on those legal concerns, why the court should overlook those legal concerns and grant him bail.
There's an issue of the prosecution not filing some documents, some processes. The court is now asking them to do so by the next agenda dates. What do you make of that?
Yes, that one is in order, and we have a lot of documents that we'll be asking that the prosecution to provide, because so far the documents they are provided are not what we are looking for. We are looking for more documents from them. So at the next agenda date, we will put that on the table and get them to provide us with those further and better particulars.
So that's Nelson Amedonu. There, his lawyers for some of the protesters. Quick, stay with me because we've been joined on the phone by the Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayabwa on some clarity on this. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So first off, yesterday we had some opposition from the AG's department to the bail condition, because listening to Godfred Yeboah-Damia at the Magistrates Conference, he mentioned that there's a directive for no opposition to the bail conditions. Can you clarify why you filed that affidavit to oppose both at the High Court and the Circuit Court?
Thank you very much, my sister. Now, when the AG addressed the magistrates, he made it clear that on the next agenda date, he was going to instruct the prosecutors to reconsider the bail application. He used the word the next agenda date, and the next agenda date was referable to the trial court's next agenda, which eventually came to today. And so the AG was so clear that when the matter came before the trial court, was going to instruct the attorneys on what to do. And today, in court, the Attorney General never opposed any of the bail applications. Yesterday was in the High Court, and we had a respectable view that when it comes to the grant of bail, when the trial court refused that grant of bail, the accused person has the right to go to the appellate court by filing a notice of appeal before the High Court will be seized with jurisdiction to hear that particular matter. So yesterday's case wasn't in contradiction to what the AG said when he addressed the magistrate. Today, we never opposed the grant of bail because we thought that having been in custody with him for 14 days and the investigation that the police had done, it was actually proper that the circuit judge could exercise discretion by granting them bail.
So you're saying that today, both at the High Court and the Circuit Court, there was no filing of affidavit in opposition to the granting of bail to these persons?
I'm talking about the Circuit Court, the trial courts. At the trial courts, we never opposed the bail application.
Well, stay with me, Mr. Alfred Chayabwa. Let me bring in my colleague, Kweku Asante. At least he was in court as well, so that you bring some clarity to it. Then we can, you can give me a direct response to that. So, Kweku, you've made some notes, at least from the court, sitting through the court. Let's go through it. What exactly transpired?
Well, so if apart from the affidavit in opposition that was filed in court, and Mr. Alfred Chayabwa says that is not the next agenda in court today, when an application for bail was moved orally by the lawyers for Raphael William Afo, Razak Suleiman, Conrad Abuaka, and a number of them, the state prosecutors did say that they wanted the lawyers to come formally and that they actually wanted an adjournment to another date so that when the bail application is made formally, that is an official bail application, that is not oral application, it can be argued. And so that is one. And then when it came to some persons, in fact, the state again opposed bail. In fact, they said that there's already a bail pending at the High Court. That is the bail that was heard earlier today in the High Court, which was adjourned to tomorrow. The prosecutors opposed that because they said that bail is already pending before High Court and they want to go and take it over there. That is where they had actually filed an affidavit in opposition. And then again, there's another claim that was made in respect to Kingsley Esiedu, said Kofi, Vera, Gloria, Louise, the lady said to be pregnant, Nikwe Hammond, the Lakwashi, and a number of them. And and then one Priscilla Tobili. The lawyers for these protesters did indicate that, in fact, some of them have been so sick that they had been in and out of court. Again, the lawyers again said that they were opposed to it because some of the arguments that have been made here have to be verified as to whether or not those persons have been sick and have been going in and out of court.
Okay,
so
let me get some clarity on this. How do you respond to that?
Yes, my sister. Now, when it comes to legal issues, you have to look at it carefully. There was a pending application at the High Court. So what the prosecutor said was that so far as there was a pending application for bail at the High Court, the Circuit Court could not consider the application. And counsel for the accused persons did the honorable thing by saying they were not interested in the High Court applications, and for that matter, the Circuit Court could go ahead and grant the accused persons bail. Because if an application pending at the High Court and while at the Circuit Court, as lawyers, you need to just, because the High Court, as you all know, is a superior court. And so if you decide not to go and move the application at the High Court, then that will mean that the Circuit Court will have the jurisdiction or the power to then consider your application. But in substance, the AG said on the next agenda, and that came today, we were not going to oppose the application and we did not oppose the application in substance.
Well, but the general sentiment, at least with that clarity that you're providing, is that it appears that the state actually employed this intimidating tactics against these protesters, because even when they've been granted bail, they're still there. But that's not at least your area. But really, how do you respond to the concerns, the general concerns about that intimidating tactics by the state that was employed?
Now, I just heard it on your network that some of the accused persons have not been granted bail because they are being frustrated by the police CID. Let me explain how bail application is carried out, or when it is granted, how it's executed. Now, when a court grants bail, it is the duty of the investigator to ensure that the sureties are properly identified, the accused person's place for abode is properly identified. We will not condone any attempt by the investigators to frustrate the accused person from having their bail granted or executed. And so if there are genuine cause to prove that indeed a state agent is preventing the accused person from having the bail order executed, we will definitely come to the aid of that accused person. But the accused must also know that the police officers who are the CID officers must also be satisfied that those who are coming to stand as sureties are people that they can identify. So in the event that the accused person has come, then they can then identify where the sureties live and then bring them to court.
But I would want to find out, at least, you mentioned the one that's at least the prosecutor mentioned that there was a case pending at the High Court in terms of that bail application. Had the court upheld it, it means that that person will still not have been granted bail. Is that the case?
No, that one, from my understanding, the prosecutor went to court. Counsel for the accused person did the honorable thing by saying they were not going to pursue the High Court application, which meant that the Circuit Court could then go ahead to consider the application and they were granted bail. So in that case, if we go to court tomorrow, they will not move that application because that application has been overtaken by events at the Circuit Court.
Did prosecutors oppose the bail to be granted to Oliver Vormawor, for instance?
Yes, on legal ground. Because as you indicated in your intro, if you look at Section 96 of the Criminal Procedure Act, if you've been charged with an offense previously and admitted to bail, and in the course of that bail, or in the course of time, you are alleged to have committed an offense, within that period, the law enjoins the sitting judge to reconsider your application for bail. So we opposed it at the Second Court today, and the Second Court upheld it.
Very well. Mr. Alfred Tiayawa, we are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. That's the Deputy Attorney General bringing some clarity to what transpired in court, and then the fact that the Attorney General's Department or prosecutors did not oppose the bail to be granted. But let's take a quick break because there's more that we need to do when it comes to the Stop Galamsey fight, because tonight the Ghana Police Service is fighting off claims about refusing to act on illegal mining close to its vicinity in Enyinem in the eastern region. We had the CEO of the Minerals Commission, Martin Ayisi, yesterday reveal during his submission before Parliament Assurance Committee that there's currently active illegal mining ongoing right behind the police station in Enyinem. He added that the commission had alerted the police to the Galamsey operation several times, but the police has failed to act on it.
We have reported severally that behind Enyam police station, people are doing stuff there which we have not permitted. So how licenses are not issued to anybody to mine a water body? So in the first place, anybody who goes to the water body to go and mine is engaged in a criminal activity. We need to be clear about that. It's engaged in a criminal activity. If we have to give any special permit for anybody to do anything in a water body, it's what we do for VRA. That from time to time they come for this special permit to dredge the estuary to allow these water snails that host the Bilharzia parasite to go away. We do that, and that's a proper thing. Outside that, there's no way we'll tell you, we'll give you a license to go and mine a mineral in a water body. We don't do that. So anybody who gets into the water body is involved in illegality. We have reported severally that behind Enyam police station, people are doing stuff there which we have not permitted. So how come that the police is not taking action? So those guys that Minerals Commission has brought to the attention of MUSEC or DISEC, depending on where it is. The Enyinam one, for example, that Galamsey is taking place behind the police station. So it's like we've told you Galamsey is having a job 600 proper. That is behind this new block. Respectfully, Honorable Okujeto and chair of this respectful Honorable Committee, the Minerals Commission officer has done his work. I am not saying that we have also not let Ghana down or we are 100% right. Because they have told you that there are instances where people have had all their rights and they have made mistakes. Of course, that's why they are inspectors.
But well, tonight we've been hearing or getting some information from the Ghana Police Service on this, and they maintain that the CEO of the Minerals Commission has never reported any illegal mining activities to the police, nor has any other report of illegal mining been made. However, they maintain that in March 2024, the Nyinim District Police Command, in collaboration with the District Security Council, DISEC, conducted a series of operations targeting illegal mining activities on the Birim River, located approximately 800 meters from the Nyinim police station. Well, they conclude by saying that these efforts resulted in the arrest of 5 suspects, 4 of whom are currently facing trial at the Koforidua Circuit Court, with the case being prosecuted by the Attorney General's Department in Koforidua. As we speak, my colleagues are on the ground and trying to ascertain for ourselves, indeed, what exactly the situation is on the ground. But we've been checking on Google Earth, and my colleague Michael Ashale joins me in studio on what we are seeing in terms of what technology can give us. What do we know?
Well, Ebefa, so Google Earth uses satellite data. I mean, the satellites that have been flying over Ghana have been giving us accurate data as to what the situation is. Let me just put across that the data we have is as current as 2023. It means that at the time that the man was also talking about reporting the issue, what we saw. If you are joining us on Facebook, you can critically see the video that referring to how far the police station is from this particular river and what is going around the river. Just behind the police station, there's some patch of green forest there. Not far from that, you see some brown patches that leads to the river. It means that you are seeing some dugouts around the river, and that is brown. And you see that in all Galamsey communities, these are characteristics of that area. You see the river brown snaking through the community, and then you see patches of brown areas around it. That is where you find illegal mining going. This distance we are talking from the police station between the green patch to the river is less than 1 kilometer. If you do the measurement on Google Earth, you see that data for yourselves. And this is a small community relatively from where the police station is to the river. To 2 of its sides where the river meets it, Galamsey is heavily going on. We can confirm that. You can see that as well on social media, MFR.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Ashale. And we're hoping to get more on this particular issue and what exactly the police is doing subsequently after this March 24 arrest that they talk about. Today, as we speak, what exactly is the police doing about it, considering the distance between the police station and where exactly this illegal mining is happening? We'll get to hear more on this. But let's take a quick break. We'll return with business. Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Let's do business. George Wiafe is here. Hello, George.
Hi, Emefa. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Well, coming up in business, some energy analysts are worried about the outlook for crude prices and impact on consumers in Ghana as Middle East tension escalates and pushes prices almost to $80 a barrel. And Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam cautions state-owned enterprises over fresh borrowings and its impact on the country's debt. The business news on Newsnight. It's brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Let's now settle for the details. Now, energy analyst Dr. Suleiman Yusuf is worried about the outlook of crude prices in the coming days. It is based on the current developments in the Middle East that has pushed oil prices closer to $8 a barrel. Dr. Suleiman noted that the development is not good for consumers here in Ghana.
For now, the conflict seems to be contained, but if there should be a full-fledged war between Hezbollah and Israel, with Iran joining, that's a condition. If Iran should join the war and becomes a whole regional war, then it's going to impact, the carbon flow from the east to the west, and that, of course, will impact, the overall production portfolio of all these fields, and the supplies will be impacted. But my calculation is that I don't foresee, I could be wrong, I don't foresee Iran, coming up with full force, because as we see the conflict now, the calculation of Iran is that everybody wants a U.S., election to be over. And so if you notice, even after the killing of Hamas leader, even in Iranian soil, they haven't retaliated. It's calculated and strategic move of a sort. Because as I speak now, I think Israel is on the offensive and they have all the backings that they need from the U.S. And unless Iran is ready to go to war with the U.S., which I think both of them don't need to.
Dr. Yusuf Suleiman is an energy expert. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam is cautioning state-owned enterprises against negotiating loan facilities that would increase the country's debt levels. The directive has been influenced by the significant progress that government has made to reduce the country's debt stock through what some would describe as painful debt restructuring deals with domestic and external creditors. Finance Minister was speaking to Joy Business at the maiden edition of the Boardroom Governance Summit.
Whatever SOEs are doing, it has impact on the debt profile of the country. And so when SOEs negotiate loans and other facilities without regards to the national objective in mind, they leave us with losses and debts and contingent liabilities that the state will have to shoulder. And now we have limits on how much we can borrow under our IMF program. And we want to be able to continue to pose those limits even beyond our IMF program so that we have limits on debt levels which can be contracted by the government as in central government and those that be contracted by CEOs of SOEs.
Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. Now, mining firm Atlantic Lithium says it has secured the final regulatory approval for its Oya project in the Central Region from the Minerals Commission. Now, this was captured in a statement issued to the investing public. There is more in this report.
Atlantic Lithium in the investor update noted that this license coming from the Minerals Commission will help the company kickstart construction at its mining project in the Central Region comprising the Oya lithium mine and the processing plant. This, the firm says, presents an important milestone towards reaching their final investment decision. The development could also help them raise fresh investment for the project. It added in the statement that the company currently awaits the ratification of the Oya mining lease by Parliament, which will fast-track work on the mines as well as exports of their product.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, brewery giants Guinness Ghana has indicated that it is sourcing majority of its input locally to help it manage the exchange rate shocks to its operations. A lot of mining firms in the country have been hit badly due to the city's depreciation as they have to turn to import majority of their inputs for production. Sylvia Wosu-Ankoma is the Corporate Relations Director at Guinness Ghana.
Overall, we currently place that target around 47% across all brands when it comes to local sourcing. We are investing in farming communities. We're investing in best agronomic practices is as a way of ensuring that we have the right value chain to continue sourcing locally. It is also a way in fighting the forex exposures that we do see as a business. So it's really beneficial, not just for the business, but also for the community. So that's something we continue to ensure we make the right investment in and get the best benefit out of the value chain.
Sylvia Wosu-Ankoma is the Corporate Relations Director at Guinness Ghana. Let's turn attention to the stock market. If you have invested in the market from the beginning of the year till now, your returns has now reached almost 40%, far higher than what we get on other investment instruments. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Let's do sports. Danny Cranting, the luckiest. Okay, what's in sports?
Black Stars are not too lucky. An injury hit Black Stars. They held their second training session in Accra earlier today ahead of their AFCON qualifier against Sudan on Thursday. Head coach Otto Addo's plans have been affected due to an injury to captain Thomas Partey and key forwards Joseph Pinsel and Osman Bukari. As a result, late call-ups have been handed to Francis Abu Michael Bedu and former Black Starlet star Ibrahim Sadiq. 23 players took part in today's session at the Accra Sports Stadium. Ghana are 5 points behind leaders Angola and need maximum points against Sudan to boost their chances of qualifying. Before I go, the Joy Sports Invitational is happening on October 26th at the Legon Sports Stadium. Activities on the day will include the men's football competition, the women's penalty shootout, mixed 4x100 relay, volleyball, basketball shooting, lime and spoon relay, and then the CEO penalty shootout. To register, simply call 054-912-6905. That's
054 912 6905. That's all for sports. Back to you, Ebefa.
Thank you very much, Danny Cranting. Well, tonight, Organized Labour's planned demonstration against illegal mining has suffered another opposition as the Ghana Medical Association have opted out of the action, despite the Trade Union Congress reaffirming its decision to protest the government's inaction over the destruction of river bodies and forests by illegal mining. The Ghana Medical Association is citing a lack of consultation, reason why they cannot participate. Well, despite this, though, more individual groups have voted to join the protest. My colleague James Aveji joins me in studio with a list of all the groups that have now pledged to join the protest. Barely 48 hours to go. What do we know?
So quite a number of them so far. We know that UDS, UTAC, since yesterday, midday of yesterday, have concluded that voting, and they've voted massively to support the planned strike. UCC, UTAC has also voted yes to that. Akente Napia Menka University have also voted yes. NAT as well as NAGRAT have all indicated their support for the industrial action. GMA, as you mentioned, is against it. These universities, KNUST, UMAT, are all yet to take their vote and declare their official position on the matter. But per the data we have so far, quite a majority of them have declared their support to that strike. And
we've been hearing from the UTAC president on Top Story mentioning that at least they have overwhelming support for that as we speak. But we've been hearing from the GPRTU, also the drivers. They've pledged to join the strike on Thursday. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union is also asking government to heed the calls of organized labor. We can hear from Public Relations Officer of GPRTU, Alhaji Abbas Ibrahim Moro.
We are a member of the organized labor. As such, whatever decision organized labor takes, we are bound to be part of it, or we are fully part of it. We've seen this Galamsey issue has been in existence for decades. It was initially practiced the way it is today. Today, all our water bodies are being poisoned with the chemicals those Galamseyers used to extract the minerals that they are looking for. All the forest reserves, which is of course, and all are also being destroyed. Do we have to die before we fight for things which are, if are not done, we are going to survive? The answer is no. Although the Galamsey is not in Accra, but the water runs several thousands of miles, several thousand kilometers from its original source before entering into the sea.
That's the GPRTU on their position today. We've also been hearing from the civil society organizations in sustainable development goals, throwing their full support also behind organized labor.
To take these immediate actions. The first action we are requesting for is the immediate revocation of LI 2426 and withdrawal of all licenses that have been granted for reconnaissance, prospecting, exploration and or mining in forests and protected reserves. We also call for the withdrawal of all licenses that have been granted for mining concessions that span across water bodies.
Well, let me bring in my colleague Emmanuel Baikweku, monitoring voting on some campuses. Emmanuel Baikweku, what can you report?
All right, so MFA, here in Kumasi, KNUST, they opened the portal, the online portal for voting today. And so between today and tomorrow, they should expect that voting will be done on the KNUST campus. But for now, the Amstead campus, that's Akenteng Apiaminka University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development, they have completed their voting. They have two campuses, one in Kumasi and the other one in Mampong. So when they collated the results from the two campuses, 49 voted. And out of those 49, 33 voted yes to the strike and 16 voted no to this strike. But we also learned about that's University of Energy and Natural Resources. We know that 115 voted in that particular exercise, and 102 voted yes, and 13 of them voted no. And so, MFA, this is what happened in the Ashanti region and also in the Bono region.
Thank you very much. That's Emmanuel Bright Kweku with updates on that voting on the various campuses in the Ashanti region. Well, today there was a protest or a march in Accra. Also, hundreds of Ghanaians took to the streets to pile pressure on the Chief Justice and the Attorney General to fast-track hearing of a case which has slowed the process of getting the newly passed Anti-LGBTQ bill into law. The bill was passed by Parliament in February this year, but has not been signed into law by the President following that legal challenge seeking to prevent the President from signing it. Sam George is co-sponsor of the bill.
We're simply here to ask the Chief Justice to stop being selective in the dispensation of justice. We're demanding that the Chief Justice stops abusing her office and her power. She's using her power capriciously and maliciously, and that has been warned and prevented in Article 296 of the Constitution. The Chief Justice must show justice to all manner of people in equal manner and shape and size. And so that's all we are saying. We are going to her and saying that the way she behaved in the case involving the election petition, the way they behaved in the case involving the exemptions, where lawyer for the plaintiffs filed their case in the morning. By afternoon, she had given a hearing notice.
And my colleague Kenneth Jesse was part of that march today, joins me on the line. Kenneth, briefly, they petitioned both the Attorney General and the Chief Justice. What was contained in the petition?
Well, contained in the petition is one simple thing. They are calling on the Chief Justice to pressure the Attorney General to expedite hearing. They're saying that the Chief Justice has failed to file applications to the Supreme Court, which is a deliberate attempt to stall the processes. So some George petitioned both the Chief Justice and the Attorney General, which were represented by representatives from both institutions.
In your statement, the Supreme Court made reference to having, and I quote, an early trial, assuring us that it will work expeditiously to hear and rule on these matters in a timely manner. Unfortunately, over 10 weeks later, there is no indication of any schedule or actions to execute an early trial that will protect our rights as citizens to timely and efficient justice delivery in this instance. Without speedy scheduling of the hearings, further time will be lost, potentially preventing the conclusion of the bill this year and further risking 3 years of time and resource investments in this draft bill.
Well, so that's Sam George there petitioning the AG's office earlier today. Now, Ghana's ambassador to Togo, Kofi Mensah Demeshier, has stated the agent's need for a united effort in confronting the growing terror threat from the Sahel. Speaking at a joint reaffirmation exercise meeting in Lome, the Togolese capital, he called for a proactive and collaborative approach to combat the looming threat. Well, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba is in Lome covering the meeting between Ghana and Togo boundary commissions, and he will join us shortly. But we can hear from Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, also reiterating the critical role of the boundary reaffirmation exercises in maintaining security along Ghana's international borders.
We have separate citizens, Togolese citizens and Ghanaian citizens. Ghana's election is solely for Ghanaians. Ghanaians want to choose their leaders. So it's the preserve of Ghanaians to vote. No, the situation where people live in Togo and want to still vote in Ghana, I think it's not the best. No, so if you are non-Ghanaian, my advice is that you stay in your country, because when they were having their elections, Ghanaians did not interfere. And therefore, we don't expect the Togolese also to interfere. Sure. And I believe that this mutual understanding should be there for the two countries.
Okay. And then the terror threat spilling down from the Sahel to West African coastal states, all West African countries.
Boundary issue is still being handled at the levels of the head of states. And we're hoping that this should be resolved as soon as possible.
Okay. And then the cooperation between the two boundary commissions on the reaffirmation exercises that have been carried out.
The cooperation has been very good. Togo, for instance, has transited from one leadership to another leadership while this has been going on. And the transition has been very good because the new leadership of the Land Boundary Commission of Togo have been very cooperative, just like the first one. And I think that the zeal and the exuberance that the new leadership has brought is even going to help us to accelerate the work that we're doing along the international boundary line.
That's Major General Emmanuel Kotia there interacting with my colleague Maxwell Agbagba in Lome, Togo. He's the Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission. Now, let's talk about Mando Senior High School. They're trending today. They're riding high on the winds of victory. The school from the Volta region has emerged as a bright spark in the 5th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge. My colleague Jacqueline Ansumayeboa has more in this report.
The grand finale, held at the Accra International Conference Center, was held under the theme Application of Renewable Energy Technologies in Solving Land Degradation and Water Pollution. And Bando SHS, well, they just didn't compete. They anticipated their win, electrifying the judges and audience alike.
The other niggas were making noise. We didn't make noise. What did you do? We're there, natural. Calm and collected. Mindful and demure. We maintained our steez. And what did you do? We delivered.
The competition saw stiff rivalry from the Bokba Technical Institute, Ahantaman Girls Senior High, Ola Girls Senior High, Obuasi Senior High Technical School, and St. James Seminary Senior High. But in the end, Bando's winning project focused on harnessing plastic waste as a valuable resource, turning what's often seen as trash into gold. Their innovative approach not only impressed the judges, but also offered a sustainable solution to plastic pollution. In the end, they switched on a winning performance, leaving the others in their shade.
Yes. We what? GGI what? Okay. We have no time to waste. What do you do? Dead. What are you saying? What are you saying?
So mesmerizing. I knew it. Because if you had listened to our anthem from the onset, we said, "O blessed Pasek, not invade thy soil." Therefore, there is no way Pasek's soil is going to be invaded.
The Bokba Technical Institute, the first runner-ups, were still beaming with joy despite not taking home the trophy.
We are going to win, but we couldn't make it. So, second is the same as first, so we made it again. So maybe next year, we'll try our best.
Officer in charge of renewable energy regulation at the Energy Commission, Bernice Notte, praised the Winning Schools project and revealed that all projects from participating schools would be further developed.
We are looking at not just refining the winning project, but we are also looking at giving all the projects to CSIR to see which ones will be commercially viable.
So while the lights at the ACC may be off, the bright ideas from these young minds will continue to shine on. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansama Yeboah.
High school is the second. The second is still.
Congratulations once again to Mando Senior High School. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Newsnight. Some of your messages. Edward Kwashin Teshi says, does the police require someone to file an official complaint before they could arrest in a crime solution? Can't they take any initiative by themselves? Some of your messages, I'm sorry I can't go through all of them. We're really out of time. The geeks are up next.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, if I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. What are we talking about today?
When was the last time you updated your privacy settings?
Oh, no.
For maybe your Facebook or...
I have to be updating it.
Yes. Yes. We are going to have a conversation on that tonight. There's a need to be doing that. And so we want to show people how they can navigate doing those settings and then updating it.
If you don't do it, what happens?
You stand a risk.
Okay.
Yes, you stand. It could be not necessarily, but it could be that maybe you have some information out there. You are linked to a third-party app. They may be using some information. Exactly. So there's a need for you to be updated. It. Yeah.
This one is for me. The show is for me. We are staying for it. The geeks are up next. You want to stay. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am MFA Pau. Have a good evening.